my way through, burning my way through like a ball of fire. It's showcase and no case. It's astronomical, bringing you the phenomenal. But center stage, just a showcase with a K. Taking your talent to the world, it's time now for center stage. The spotlight's on you, so do what you do. This is showcase, and we ain't got time to wait.
Miguel, welcome to the Showcase Spotlight. Okay, I'd like to welcome you. My name is Keisha Snacks.
Thank you for having me part of the program.
No problem, anytime. I'm so interested in learning so much about you. I'm very inspired by what I've read, and I haven't really interviewed anybody that really inspired me.
Oh,
So
thank you.
Actually, like, first, you know, I mean, and what you're doing, you know what I mean? I've met some other inspirations, but like, what you're aiming towards, I really like that. You know, we're going to touch base on a couple of things today. I actually wanted to touch on core values.
Yeah.
I want to go over that today.
Okay.
And we are actually getting ready to pull out my my notebook right now.
Okay.
Had a couple questions written down. I don't want to jump over everything. You know, I read about your life and everything. You talked about your purpose. You found your purpose when you were down and out or something. You were probably at rock bottom. Can you talk about that moment and what it felt like for you?
Sure. So there was a moment a few years ago where I just felt like I had believed in a particular outcome. I had placed my hope in that particular outcome. So to me, faith and hope, they work together. But I think that faith looks at the past, right? It reminds you of previous breakthroughs, previous providence experiences you had, where hope reminds you or encourages you of the future, right? So faith works to the past and hope works to the future. And I had put my hope that certain outcomes were going to take place in my future. And when I looked around a couple years ago, I was like, this ain't it. This is not what I intended for my life. This is not what I wanted. And I lost a lot of the joy in doing the things that I was doing. Like I was still volunteering. I was still working. I was still mentoring. I was still doing those things, but I was going through the motion. I was no longer in love with what I was doing. It was a very difficult time. I remember that after that moment, a friend of mine said, Miguel, have you ever gone through depression? And I was starting the podcast and I said, I've never faced depression. He says, well, you talk a lot about a lot of things on your podcast. Talk about depression. I was like, I can't talk about what I haven't gone through. Like I need to be able to actually experience it. And he said, think about what depression is. He said, look up the definition because you'll see that you may have actually gone through it and you didn't even realize it. And so I started doing some studying. I started doing some digging. I was like, oh, wait a minute. I did go through depression. And it was, again, it was a moment where I just looked around in my life and I did not see the outcome that I intended for my life and everything that I had hoped for and everything that I wanted for myself. It just did not align the vision that I had with what I was seeing. And so I really had to dig myself out of that. And I'm so appreciative to my friends and family, relatives, to my wife. And even in that moment, I can say that I almost lost my faith and almost lost hope and questioned all of it. And I believe I came out of the other side of all of that a much more emotionally intelligent person.
Wow, that's amazing. That is amazing. Yeah, because you're touching on a lot of lives out here, I see. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I know that you like pretty much with your like life coaching. Do you feel like that's like speaking life into people? Like, and when you speak life into people, do you feel like most people that speak life into people need life poured into them as well?
That's a good question. I'll initiate by saying the following. I've said this multiple times in multiple platforms. I am not a life coach. And when I say that, people instantly get confused. They'll be like, well, you sound like a life coach. I actually present myself as a personal growth strategist. And what that means is that oftentimes we have goals that we want to accomplish, and yet we don't accomplish them. Right? I think we've all been in that situation. And the question is, why don't we accomplish them? And I think it goes back to our thinking, and more specifically, our ability to think strategically. What that means is to be able to pivot, is to be able to see a solution even when you don't feel like there is one. So what I do and what I intend on doing is actually helping individuals implement strategies in their life that, even though you may not feel good, that doesn't mean you can't see the other side. That doesn't mean that you can't keep moving forward. And I very much am of the belief that we can't give what we don't have. That's something that my early mentors just instilled in me, is that you can't give what you don't have. And in that, because of that, I have taken the decision this year to actually blog about my journey. And so I have a blog that I do, a weekly blog, where I actually write out, hey, here's the things that I'm doing to lose weight, to sleep better, to write more, to create better habits. Here's what I'm doing in real time. It's not like this is what I did 50 years ago. It's 2023. Right. This is what I'm doing. And I invite people to subscribe to that, because again, it's genuinely what I'm doing right now this year to actually have personal growth. And that also, I think, opens up that conversation of saying, oh, it's not that I have it all figured out. It's that there are some strategies that just work, and people may not be privy to that. And that's kind of the sandbox that I like to play in.
Okay. I like that. I like that. I wanted to talk to you about goal settings, like how important is goal setting? And also, like, can you tie in the goal setting and how important it is to like create new routines to accomplish those goals?
Yeah, certainly.
How do you feel on that?
Yeah. Previously you mentioned something which was values, and values is something that I think most individuals just aren't talking about. I don't think it's hit mainstream where everybody's like values. And I think values are so important, because the values that we hold are the things that are the non-negotiable. Like if we're saying that family is a non-negotiable, like that's a high value in my life, then now the question is, what am I doing to serve my family? How am I present for my family? And if an opportunity comes up for me to become a multi-gazillionaire, am I going to take that opportunity knowing that I'll lose out time with my family? And if the answer is yes, then we have a conflict. Like we really have to begin to evaluate our values. And so when we talk about goal setting, most often it's like, all right, what do I have to do to lose weight? Well, that's great, but I think the conversation starts with your values. And so you say, and I'll use myself as an example. So to me, one of my values is legacy. And that to me means the impact that I have in a conversation like this, but also the impact that I have on the world that surrounds me. And so if I want to have an impact, then I'm going to need something called longevity, right? I'm going to have to be around for quite some time. And in order for me to be around, well, then I have to live a healthier life. And in understanding that, it's like, okay, well, now I know why I want to work out. And now that I know I want to work out, what does that look like on my day to day? Well, for me, it looks like going to the gym Monday through Thursday. That's just what works to me, because Friday night is date night with my wife. So there it is. Boom. I now have the reason I'm doing it because of legacy, which is one of my values. I now have the goal, which is to live a healthier life and live a long life. And I now have the actual layout of what the habit is. I'm going to go to the gym Monday through Thursday. I'm only going to go for 1 hour. I'm not out here trying to look like John Cena or anything like that. I'm just trying to live a healthier life and be a healthier me. And the question has to be, what type of person does those things? Now, what type of person goes to the gym even when they don't feel like going to the gym? What type of person is focused on legacy? What type of person is focused on those things? And when you begin to describe that person, it may be that initially you say, yeah, that ain't me. Yeah. Okay, great. That ain't you right now, but that doesn't mean it can't be you. That doesn't mean that it can't be you. So I'm always a fan of, for example, like the DC comic books and Marvel. And one of the things that's always caught my attention is the fact of that there is this thing called the multiverse. Right. And so you could find 3 Spider-Mans or 4 Batmans all sitting in the same place. It's like, yeah, because the multiverse exists. So if we elevate just for a moment and we suspend disbelief and we say, OK, the multiverse is real. What that would mean is that there is another version of you already accomplishing the things you want to accomplish. Now, the question is, what is that version of you doing? What attitude do they have? What values do they have? And how do I bring that to the now? How do I make that a reality? And so this is why I think values and goals and habit, all of this comes together. But I think it goes back to values, because if I can't define what are my non-negotiables, like what are really things important for me, it's going to be hard to find direction.
Yeah. So that right there, those right there, you're telling people like, I just love what you just said. And it kind of goes to the point of that. Sitting down like you have on your podcast about reinventing yourself and, not having to go all the way back to square one, because like, I've been there before, I got to the point where I was like, oh my God, I messed up. I'm stuck, and I didn't want to, change. I was like thinking that what I was doing was okay, but it was at a certain moment I was like, no. I don't have this. I can start from experience. And sometimes people think that, oh, you're being scary, or I'm like, no, I just know that I've done that this way before. So I just want to do it a little bit more cautiously in the right way this time. It's also wisdom. You know what I'm saying? So experience and wisdom and, everything is just tied into there. And, I feel like you can reinvent yourself on those right there. So I like how you put that together, because that was kind of like something I was going to add in there. So you did a wonderful job with that. I was listening to the podcast today and I was actually like, I still got some things I want to work on about myself. You know what I'm saying? So it kind of made me feel like, okay, I can still keep going.
Yeah. Hey,
right?
That's awesome. That's awesome. I had this individual, we recorded an episode and they were asking me, who is your target audience? That's the first question they asked me. And I was like, yeah, it's a good question. So my answer is simple. My answer is my target audience is the everyday person. It's the blue collar person. It's the person that's, trying to balance work and like you're doing right now, you're trying to balance life and podcasting. Right. I recently had to do a podcast the same as you in the car, and it was snowing outside.
Listen, is how I started from the bottom. You know what I mean? It has to be like that. Look, exactly. J. Cole was selling tapes outside his car. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta start somewhere. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And that right there shows a level of dedication. Right. So the podcast episode that we recently released was that difference between motivation and dedication, right? That's the level of dedication, the commitment, where it's like, I'm going to do this from your car. Yeah, from my car. I do it from anywhere if I got to do it, because it's going to get done. And that type of attitude is the type of, like, if we take that attitude and we implement it to other parts of our life, then like the possibilities just open up.
Yeah, I like that. Miguel is such a wonderful guy. I know I would love to talk to you all night, but yeah, because you have so much inside that, we can't even touch on today. Like, so there's a lot going on. So, before we wrap it up tonight, I just want you to share how people can connect with you. What type of services do you offer? I know I've seen there's 3 things I want you to touch on. I want you to tell everybody what you do and how they can contact you. Okay. So tell us about it.
Yeah, certainly. So, of course, there's a podcast, the Strategy Rewind podcast, which is available on all audio streaming platforms. You can definitely check that out. And, of course, we do upload YouTube videos to the Miguel Lebron Coaching LLC YouTube channel. So you can definitely check that out. But the most simplest way is just by visiting MiguelLebron.com. When you go to MiguelLebron.com, there you can read my bio, you can listen to the podcast, watch videos, read articles. There you can subscribe to all the things we're doing and even set up a free 30-minute strategy session. And that really is the initiation towards even being able to have further conversation. I'm aware that I'm not for everybody, but for those people who identify as the blue collar working people that's trying to balance all things and still grow, because that's the challenging part. It's like, yes, I know I have to work. Yes, I know I have to be a mother, a father, a brother, a sister, an uncle, but where's the space for me to grow? Where's the space for me to elevate? Like, I don't want to finish 2023 or whatever year it is. I don't want to finish it the same way I started it. Where's the space? And that is the space where Strategy Rewind, the podcast, comes in. And that is the space where I enjoy working with people as a personal growth strategist. So MiguelLebron.com is where you can find all the information.
Thank you, Miguel. Thank you. Something came to mind. Did you ever see the movie Soul?
I believe I did.
Disney with Jamie Foxx and them are in there.
Yeah. Yes.
You know.
Oh, the cartoon one, yeah?
Yes, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Listen, I got 3 daughters. Yes, I saw that movie.
So, like, you know, there are people out here that's just like that today. They need you. So anybody that sees the movie Soul don't end up like that in the Rock, you know, go reach out to Miguel. MiguelLebron.com. It was so wonderful having you today, Miguel.
Hey, I appreciate you.
We'll definitely be in touch. I'll be reaching out to you for myself because I have some things I want to work on. I want to run by you. And, you know, I saw some things I want to talk about.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yes. Thank you.
Anything I could do to be of service, I'm definitely here.
Yes. Have a wonderful night.
Thank you. And you as well.
All right. Bye-bye.
The Showkase.